Okay. You come to order, please. Stand, pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Trenary?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland?
Here.
Councilman Green?
Here.
Councilman Salamani?
Here.
Mayor Ashworth?
Here. Approval minutes, May 4th, 22 regular meeting, and May 14th, 22 special meeting.
I motion that we approve the minutes from the May 4th, 2022 regular meeting and the May 14th, 2022 special meeting.
Second. Vote, please.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Councilman Trenary?
Yes.
Councilman Salamani?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland?
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth?
Yes. Okay, public comment, we have none at this time, but, Annie, do you have any update on school?
Just one.
Yes.
Good evening, Council. My name is Annie Durham. I reside at 309 Aspen Street. Two small things. Number one, there is a news story coming out on KOAA. It should be today, highlighting our fire sighting students, Hunter Sanborn and Julie Kissaber, so watch out for that story. Secondly, the Cripple Creek Victor School District is transitioning into a restorative justice model. There will be an opportunity next Thursday, June 9th, for community members to attend kind of an informational session on what that will look like. The two options are 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. or 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I believe I'll email you that and confirm that for sure. But basically, it's just an opportunity for not only the teachers, but community members as well to learn kind of what we're transitioning into. So, and I'll email council separately with the details for that. But again, it'll be next Thursday, either a morning or an afternoon session. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Reports, city administrators. Frank, you want to make your report?
Mayor, I don't have anything other than I wish I was there.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get back on Monday.
Okay. Finance director.
Good evening, council. Just going to do two quick updates. The first one, glasses out here. The gaming industry for the month of April, very pleased to report that both point-in table drop and AGP were both up over the prior month. April's coin-in was up $2 million or 1.1% from March. Year to date, it's up 3.9 million or 0.6%. And adjusted gross proceeds was up 735,000 or 5.4% from March. Year to date, it's up 2.7 million or 5.5%. And April was a month that we topped 14 million in AGP. So we hope to see that last through the remainder of the summer and into the fall as it did last year. A quick COVID update for the entire month of May. Unfortunately, new cases were up 94.4% from 72 in April to 140 in May. Fortunately, there were no deaths reported in Teller County in the month of May, so that's good news. Thank you.
You have a hospitalization. How many hospitalizations was it?
When I looked at this most recent 2-week period, there were no Teller County residents in the hospital.
Thanks, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
All right, presentations, updates, and other reports. This time we have an update from Newmont Mine. Katie, you want to do your presentation or get it started?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Let me share my screen. All right. So my name is Katie Blake. I'm with Newmont. The mine just up the hill here. And I'm with the Sustainability and External Relations Group. With me today, if I can change the slide. I have Allison Boy, Justin Ragland, and Megan Roselle. And then one more external relations rep who has joined us virtually is Caitlin Ragsdale. Tonight, we'll be talking to you. We'll start with a value share about cultural heritage management. Then we'll move into a community update, followed by a business update, a VLF2 Phase 3 update, and then an overview of our Caterpillar Alliance. So recently a stakeholder brought up to us that the Hoosier head frame, which operated between 1916 and 1940, was unstable. You can see here in the photo, it's kind of listing. And, you know, because Newmont recognizes that cultural heritage in our district is inherently valuable to our stakeholders, we've begun work to stabilize the structure by running cables to anchors and then placing steel sleeves on the legs, which will then be welded to the existing foundation. For those of you who don't know where the Hoosier head frame is, it's located, I guess, northeast of Cripple Creek and northwest of our mine site. An update on community investment and COVID support. So last year, you may recall, we discussed this at our last community update. We donated over $178,000 through our legacy fund to local organizations throughout our community. So far in 2022, we have distributed over $23,000 as part of the legacy fund. As part of the community investment fund, again, you may recall that we donated over $375,000 in 2021, with $207,000 committed so far in 2022. Along with that, we donated over 2,000-pound boulder to Red Rocks Community College for their rock garden. And we also donated 2 gold splatters to the pioneers of the mine's foot races, excuse me. Then last but not least, through the COVID Relief Fund, since 2020, we have distributed over $750,000 locally to help folks in our community through the pandemic. And 2022 distributions have included a $40,000 donation to Community Partnership, and then a $45,000 donation to the Aspen Mine Center. Moving on to a community update. So you may recall that we announced we are working on a self-guided tour, which gives folks the option to drive around the perimeter of the mine site and scan QR codes to take you to videos that will give you educational information about the mine as you're looking up at it. We just completed filming on May 16th with the goal of launching that self-guided tour sometime this summer. Moving on to social impact assessment. So an SIA is a snapshot in time of the effects, both positive and negative, that our operations and activities have on these communities. Key stakeholders will be asked for interviews as part of this process, with their input guiding the mitigation activities and closure plans. We plan to wrap up that SIA by the end of this year, and then we will be moving forward with any actions that result from findings of that SIA. And with that, I will pass it off to Allison for the business update.
Great, thank you. So first, introduce myself. I'm Allison Boy. I am the interim general manager. Been in this role now since April while we continue a search for a general manager for full-time. We'll certainly bring them around as soon as they are here. So general update on what we are up to. So as always, we are looking to add reserves and resources and extend the mine life. We recently started, and that gets on to the next slide, construction on VLF2 Phase 3, which does give us mine life through about 2031, which we're pretty excited about, while we continue exploring for mine life in some other areas. On the slide you see in pink, we have highlighted the areas that we will be primarily operating this year. So for the most part, quite a bit of our operations is going to be concentrated more on the Cripple Creek side compared to the southern kind of Victor side. Although we are planning to start what we call South Crescent Phase 2, which will be kind of on the hill above Goldfields. So alluded to this, but VLF2 Phase 3 is a leach pad expansion. As mentioned, it does provide us capacity through 2031. We started construction this year, so we do have contractors currently on site helping shape an area to then line and build leach pad on top of. We will then be doing staggered expansions. So this first expansion that we're building will be constructed between this year and next year. We'll then take about a year off and build 2 expansions in 2 consecutive years. So we'll have construction essentially through 2025 on this leach pad, but then start stacking on it shortly after each of those expansions is constructed. As you can see in the picture, Phase 3 is really taking advantage of previously disturbed areas. So we're actually building it on top of Schist Island Phase 1, which we completed mining late last year and then have been backfilling to build a leach pad on top of. So the leach pad will basically backfill that pit and then butt up against a waste rock facility that we have next to it. So it won't change the skyline very much from the view sheds from Cripple Creek. And it's all within the existing permit boundaries and on existing disturbance areas. So it's a pretty, we think, a great use of reuse of the mining areas. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Justin to talk about a pretty exciting alliance we have with Caterpillar.
Thanks, Allison. Good evening, Council. So at our last meeting with you all, we did announce an alliance between Newmont and Caterpillar. Just wanted to provide you a bit of an update on kind of what we've done and where we're headed. So as you may recall, really that alliance is around 2 things. It's around automating our haulage fleet at CCV, so our haul trucks. We'll transition from operated by humans to being operated remotely. And that's kind of the first phase. We'll talk about the timing for that here in a second. And then the second phase is electrification of that haulage fleet. And really this is part of Newmont's broader strategy to achieve some climate reduction targets. So 2 primary milestones that we have in front of us. By 2030, we're targeting to reduce our carbon footprint by 30%. So I realize that this graphic up above is kind of hard to see, but really what you're looking at there is our distribution or our portfolio of carbon emissions currently. So the dark blue that you see on the bottom is carbon emissions across our business from mobile equipment. So primarily haulage equipment and haul trucks. What you see in orange or gold there is our electricity usage, primarily associated with our processing facilities. Again, this is for the whole business. And then to be honest with you, I can't read the top, so maybe I can read it down here. It's other. So I don't know the definition of other, but it's a small portion of our overall energy portfolio. So really what we're looking at doing is how can we reduce our electricity usage and transition from fossil fuels to renewable energies? And then how can we also reduce our carbon emissions from our mobile maintenance fleet, our mobile fleet, which is kind of that dark blue line below there. So some exciting news here at CC&V. Newmont has invested $100 million specifically in 2 projects at 2 of our sites, CC&V being one of those sites, the other site being our Tanami underground operation in Australia. Again, for CC&V, what that means is a commitment to automating our haul truck fleet of up to 16 trucks. And the timeline on that is aggressive. We're planning to do that work between now and the end of 2023. And then subsequent to that automation, we'll look to electrify the fleet by 2026. We'll be working with Caterpillar on piloting that technology. The technology is in development now, so it'll be really state of the art and piloted at CC&B. So really a unique opportunity. And the theory there is that if we can make it work at 10,000 feet in the Rocky Mountains, it'll probably work elsewhere in the world. So kind of starting at one of the hardest locations from a climate perspective, an environment perspective to really test the technology. We do, the other piece of good news with this automation of our haulage fleet is that we do not anticipate any reduction in force associated with this transition. So we will be able to train, retool our current haul truck operators and have them be operators of trucks and take on other roles. But they obviously will not be operating from the cockpit of the truck any longer, which, you know, from a safety perspective, I think we talked about this last time, but there's certainly a safety advantage in getting people out of haul trucks and not having to drive around 240-ton haul trucks. You know, a lot of exposure associated with that. So from a safety perspective, it's also a win. And then the last note that we have here is that we recently, in the last couple of weeks, have announced our autonomous haulage project manager, and really are starting to put together the project team that will work in unison with our current operations team on implementing autonomous haulage over the course of the next year and a half. I think with that, that concludes our presentation for this evening, but certainly want to open it up to any questions you all may have of us.
I have a couple questions. I see the drills up there on top of Globe Hill. Are you connecting the Wild Horse extension to the Poverty Gulch pit?
Yeah, so Globe Hill Phase 3 does advance towards the Wild Horse extension. I don't think we plan to tie them in completely into like a super pit, but we are laying back Globe Hill towards the east, towards the Wild Horse extension.
What elevation are you dropping the schist island pit down to?
At the bottom, before we backfill it?
Nothing. Okay. No, we'll move on. It's not. I was just curious how deep you're going.
Yeah, so, sorry, I don't know the elevation, but our numbers, it's about 300 feet.
You know, by the way, welcome to the Cripple Creek. And last question is, with the increase in cost of diesel on diesel fuel and all the equipment that you use, what's your production cost per ounce now?
We have not rerun the numbers since the latest diesel price. But we are still below the price of gold. It varies in the year. I think on average we're sitting.
Yes, I think we want to make sure that we're consistent with what's been publicly reported as well. So I want to make sure we get the official number.
Thank you very much.
I'll give you a running answer. Is that it?
For me.
Anyone else?
No. Good. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it.
All right, this time we'll go in. Planning commission in a city hearing to consider potentially above or approve or deny the development application referred to as CMH Homes Incorporated development project for 6 single-family dwellings that includes the following. At this time, we'll convene the planning commission. And we have procedure we follow through this process. First, I will now open the public hearing on the application for a certificate of appropriateness submitted by CMH Homes Incorporated in relation to the development of 6 single-family dwellings at certain real property located at the northwest corner of Carr Avenue and Main Street, Cripple Creek, Colorado. Notice of these hearings has been given as required by the Cripple Creek Development Code, and copy of such notice and of the publisher's affidavit are hereby made a part of the record of this proceeding. The procedure will be as follows. City staff will first present and summarize the case. Second, the applicant or the applicant's representative may present any evidence in favor of the operation of the application. Third, at the conclusion of the applicant's case, any person wishing to speak in support of the application may present evidence. Fourth, any person wishing to speak against the application may then present evidence. Fifth, then I will ask for a motion to close in public comment. Sixth, the applicant may then present any rebuttal evidence. All presenters and witnesses shall identify themselves and provide their address before speaking. All statements and testimony shall be addressed to the council and not to the applicant. At the conclusion of the hearing, the city shall receive and will deliberate and may make a decision on the application. The council may grant any application, deny any application, or grant with any conditions. Or any objection to the jurisdiction of the planning commission of the city of Cripple Creek to the form or substance of these proceedings. If not, the city staff will now present the case.
Good evening, Council. Renee Mueller, 209 Nickel Plate Creek, and Historic Preservation and Planning Coordinator for the City of Cripple Creek. I'm here tonight to present the staff report for the Historic Preservation Commission, who met and approved a certificate of appropriateness for the Clayton Homes project on the corner of Main and Carr Avenue. And you can see on your screens up above, there are 3 houses proposed with garages on Main Street and 3 houses proposed without garages on the Carr side. We met and we did approve this as a commission with conditions. Our conditions are lined out in my resolution should you approve this application. I'll read those off for you. Each of the houses is to be painted a different color as approved by the HP coordinator. Wood, fish scales, or other decorative trim shall be placed in front gables. Porches shall be constructed of wood. Wood turn balusters are required to be painted or stained to match each house. Brick veneer shall be extended 4 foot past the exterior corners. Rain gutters shall be historic half-round style. We did meet and the commission requested that staff approve this request. Do you have any questions? I will introduce you to Vincent Hall. He will also kind of go through the whole thing for you so that you can, and everyone here can see exactly what it is we're proposing. This up here is just the location right now, so.
We'll hold the questions.
Okay. So I'll introduce Vincent Hall. He's the representative for Clayton Homes, and he will be doing, he'll be walking through the whole project with you.
Hello. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. Would it be possible to screen share? All right, so our intent with the Carmain project is to develop new single-family home sites, primarily 3 and 4 bedroom homes. Specifically, we'd like to see these homes done as single level. We believe that that offers the best layout and functionality of the home. This is a step that we hope will help address some of the shortfall of affordable and attainable homes in the city of Cripple Creek. The specific site has some photos here. We're seeking to put these on a little bit larger lots than would be typical in Cripple Creek. The goal here is to have about 60-foot frontages for the lot. That should provide a robust front and backyard for the homes. Also intend on fencing backyards. This is how the homes would essentially situate on the proposed lots for the Car Avenue. And for Main. This was an aerial rendition. It was done. Per the HPC's suggestion, going to continue different color scheme for the third house in each of the schedules so that it gives everyone a line. So this gives us a little better perspective of what units could look like and how they would street face. Overall, the design is pretty attractive and it does homage to the historic area as well as provides a functional and energy efficient plan. This particular unit would be a 4-bedroom, so we intend on alternating between 3 and 4-bedroom homes. The targeted square footage for these units should land between 1,600 to 1,800 square foot, so they're good size homes. All units are going to have 2 bathrooms as well as 3 or 4 bedroom. This was a preliminary plot reflective of where the fencing would go. So our intent is to offer a nice large backyard for each of the homes. The goal behind these homes was primarily of course in family housing. Big fenced backyards are actually around the area, so we'd like to emulate that. For the main area, because of the alleyway, we intend on putting garages off the alleyway so that there's covered parking. We've got our preliminary plat in progress currently, and pins are now in place on the property. We've also done some aesthetic touches, such as decorative gabling, scalloping, and an example of what the cedar fence might look like. The intent is 6-foot privacy fencing that runs around the backyard. We intend on doing some mulch or gravels for the front as part of the aesthetics for the landscape. Obviously, things like the gutters and trim work is going to match. We don't want it to contrast, so we're looking for cohesion in the homes in that regard. And yeah, that's essentially the synopsis of what our intent and the vision is for the area. Is really to open up some family housing and workforce housing essentially for that neck of the woods.
Any questions?
We had some folks come before council and claim affordable housing before. And I was sorely disappointed in what I saw actually develop based against what we were told was going to happen. What price range are you talking about as far as retail?
So we're targeting in the 300,000 range. I mean, it's likely to fall in the 300 to 350 to 375 bracket, but it depends on some of the factors that go into development. Our intent is to make sure that the homes are as attainable as possible because we're seeking family housing primarily. It's hard to pin down exact price points until accounting's been completed. So on the preliminary, we can shoot for a number, but we have to actually put boots on the ground, put improvements in to complete final accounting. That's it.
Okay, at this time, with the conclusion of the applicant's case, any person wishing to speak in support of the application to present evidence at this time. Any wish, at this time, any person wishing to speak against the application may present evidence. Hear none, then I will ask for a motion closing the public comment.
So moved. Second,
Vote please.
Councilwoman Mary,
yes.
Councilman Green,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth.
Yes. Then no rebuttal, you wouldn't have any response to that, I suppose. So, okay, that ends the public hearing process. So at this time, we'll reconvene and we'll deliberate and may make decision on the application. The council may grant any application, deny any application, or grant any application with conditions. So we're back into regular council session.
And unless you have questions for Mr. Hall, I think he can be seated.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
And council, for purposes of your deliberation, you can, I think, turn directly to the resolution number 2022-18 that's been prepared. On page 1 of resolution number 2022-18, you will see that the findings that you might want to consider making in connection with this application are listed for you. So you will see a finding number 1 where Ms. Mueller took the criteria that's applicable to this application and stated it in the number 1, and then presented her recommended finding underneath that proposed criteria, or that required criteria. And then again, on page 2 of that resolution, she listed number 3, new construction, that required criteria, and a proposed council finding under that. And then included then on that last page are the recommended 6 conditions that would be included in this resolution if you decided to approve it. And I'd be happy to answer any questions on the form of the resolution, and Ms. Mueller will be there to answer them as well.
Any questions on that?
I have none.
Do I hear a motion to consider resolution 2022-18?
I'll motion that we
Approved.
get this right, approved. Resolution 2022-18, a resolution approving a certificate of appropriateness at certain real property legally described as lots 6 through 16, block 51, Hayden Placer addition, and lots 23, 24, block 12, Fremont additions to Cripple Creek, County of Keller, State of Colorado, Cripple Creek, Colorado. Second.
Vote please.
Councilman Green,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mary,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland,
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Okay, at this time, we'll reconvene back in the planning commission. Consider request for Clayton Homes of Pueblo for a zoning change of lot 16, block 51, Hayden Placer subdivision from R34 zoning district to PB zoning district. Do I hear a motion to continue this to June 15th?
I'll make a motion to continue this item into June 15th, 2022
And if you could add to your motion at 5:30 PM.
at 5:30 PM.
Thank you.
I second.
Vote please.
Councilman Janeri,
Yes.
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Liberland,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth.
Yes. Item 3, consider a request for subdivision of the lots 6 through 10 Hayden Placer subdivision and lots 23 to 24, block 12, Fremont Edition into these parcels. Do I hear a motion to continue this request to June 15th?
I'll motion that we continue the request, June 15th, 2022 at 5:30. Second.
Vote please.
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Janeri,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Liberland,
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth.
Yes. Item 4, consider request for Clayton Homes of Pueblo for a conditional use permit to construct 6 single-family residential dwellings in the DB zone district of lots 6 through 11, Hayden Placer subdivision, and lots 23 through 24, block 12, Fremont Edition in the DB zoning district. Do I hear a motion to continue this to June 15th?
I'll make the motion to continue to June 15th, 2022 at 5:30 PM.
I'll second.
Vote please.
Councilman Reed,
Yes.
Councilman Janeri,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Liberland,
Yes.
Councilman Solomon.
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth.
Yes.
Thank you, Council.
Okay. That is the conclusion of the planning commission, and we'll go back into regular council meeting under new business. Consider approval of Colorado Regional OPOD intergovernmental agreement. Frank, you make his presentation, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, Council. The state of Colorado is getting funds from the opioid settlement from Johnson & Johnson and other companies that produced opioids. The more communities that participate in this agreement, the more money the state has access to. What the Attorney General has done is divided the state up into regions, and his department will be overseeing the settlement and the distribution of funds. 60% of the funds will go back to the regions, and we are in the region of El Paso and Teller County. And we have been asked as a city in Teller County to participate with the regional group, and this group will formulate bylaws and policies on how to distribute and use the funds that are given to our region. And so right now, all we're doing, if the council so wishes, is to agree to join the state and join this regional group. And the 3 cities in Teller County will participate one a year. Woodland Park, Cripple Creek, and Victor will each have voting rights in one of those years, the 3 years. Our vote will be the second year. We can still participate in the meetings, but we won't be able to actually vote till the second year. Woodland Park votes the first year. Teller County has a commissioner on board, and then El Paso County, our sheriff is also on the board. And then El Paso County also has representatives. I think you can see how the breakout is in the agreement. But I'm here to answer any questions, but really tonight's vote is just to agree to join the regional group, and also helps the state again in getting funds for the opioid settlement.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to consider approval of the Colorado Regional Opioid Governmental Agreement?
Yes, I motion that we approve Colorado Regional Opioid Intergovernmental Agreement.
I'll second.
Vote please.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Councilman Solomani?
Yes.
Councilman Javari?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Berlin?
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth?
Yes. Business item
Thank
B. Consider approval of resolution 2022-17, amending resolution 2003-06, clarifying that all newly elected members of the city council and the mayor shall take office in January following the election. Frank, you want to present this?
I'll start with that, Mayor, and then I'm going to defer to Erin. She actually put it together. This was based on a conversation the council had in a workshop in the past about amending this resolution to actually clarify when a council member is elected at a November election of when they can be seated on the city council. And I will let Erin take it from there.
Thank you, Frank. Mayor and council, what this would do is it would, as city administrator pointed out, really just clarify that you would be taking your office commencing on the first Monday after the first Tuesday in January following the election. This right now is an option council has to before it, by passing this resolution, you solidify that that will be the time you would commence your offices. With, if you don't pass this resolution, you're operating under the resolution from 2006, I believe, that allows for a person to take their office the Monday following the election, as opposed to the first Monday in January. And as we discussed, sometimes that would be a problematic time to commence your office because the survey returns may not be complete by that Monday. So this just fixes a date in the future where all of the election work can be done, and you will be able to commence your date without that option. Everybody would be commencing their office at the same time, and you would be doing it again on a date certain. It's really a housekeeping measure.
Any question? No. That's it.
Nope.
Okay, hear a resolution to pass 2022-17.
I motion that we approve resolution 2022-17, amending resolution 2003-06, clarifying that all newly elected members of the city council and the mayor shall take office in January following the election.
Second. Vote please.
Councilman Connectney?
Yes.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Berlin?
Yes.
Councilman Solomani?
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman.
Agenda item C on the new business, discussion regarding the cost sharing of fiber computer network communication to Full House Resorts Incorporated. Frank, you want to do it?
Yeah.
Paul's gonna do it, Frank.
I
Yes.
pitched it to you, so I'll be up here for the final component. As you'll recall, we did have to put in a fiber line because of the construction project for the new hotel. We were very fortunate. We got that before you at the beginning of April, and the crews were here in town hanging the fiber on the poles when we finally got disruption, and not this past Monday, but the Monday before, the system was down, and it was down that prior Friday. So they were able to bring it in and hook it up, and we were up and running the next day at the higher speeds with the greater safety of being on our own network piece. The total cost of the project for the hanging of the fiber and the materials is approximately $58K. We've had a number of discussions with Full House, and I know Barbara is here representing them, where they would like to split the cost with the city. And we feel that's fair moving forward. We want to be working with them, and we appreciate the large investment they're making in the community. So that's what's before you this evening, is to split the cost of the fiber that has been put in. I'll let Dick make any comments.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Nick Kaber. I'm the Assistant General Manager at Bronco Billy's. I wanted to, first of all, apologize for Baxter's absence. He had some family personal emergencies he had to take care of this week, so he's out of town. But he presented to you guys on May 4th. I have really nothing different to say than what he's had already explained to you. But just real quick, there was an approval by the City Council during the April 6th meeting to move forward with Phoenix Technologies. Plans to add fiber and connect City Hall to the police department where the servers are located. And we are aware that our project was going to interfere with the signal, and the work was completed. And now, like Paul said, you guys are running off that fiber connection. Our biggest concern with this project and proposal was that there were other ways to make the city whole. And we feel, and according to the resolution that was approved, we were to bring the city whole to the baseline condition for connecting the City Hall and police station servers. There was no communication to us, Full House Resorts, Bronco Billy's, prior to that April 6th meeting. And we just feel that this project could have been completed at a much cheaper price tag than that $58,000. Even after meeting with your IT consultants, Phoenix Technologies, Paul and Frank, we came to the conclusion that this wasn't the only solution, and it could have been done much cheaper. Anyway, I'm here tonight just to formally request that council take consideration to split that $58,000 cost for the project with Full House Resorts. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you guys have.
Any questions on it? Okay, discussions? I guess this time be proper to ask for a motion.
Sure, wouldn't the motion be to approve or accept the offer for FHR to split the cost and to advance the town or the city $29,000 to pay their share?
So moved.
Hold a second.
I'll second that.
Vote please.
Councilman Green?
Yes.
Councilman Jerry?
Yes.
Councilman Solomon?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Litherland?
Yes.
Mayor Ashworth?
Yes. This is the conclusion of our business. Thank you, Nick.
Could you?
Man.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Public Works, Police Department, Fire Department, and all the city staff during the last snowstorm. The Public Works, and I'm sure the Police Department, was going non-stop. And anyway, they did an excellent job. And really appreciate everything that you all did.
Very good job. Any other comments? If not, we're adjourned.